The galaxy was restless, stars burned in silence. But the people of Earth felt the shadow of fear stretching across every colony. The alien armada was coming, wave after wave of ships larger than mountains, their weapons strong enough to break cities in seconds. Inside the command halls of Earth's defense fleet, the leaders argued, their voices loud, their faces pale. They spoke of strategies, they spoke of numbers, but in their eyes lived the truth: humanity could not win. Among the many soldiers and officers standing in silence, there was one man who did not speak. His name was Captain Marcus Hale. His hair was streaked with gray, his uniform was old, and his eyes were sharp like a blade hidden for too long. Marcus was not like the others. He was not decorated with medals, nor trusted with command of new star ships. Instead, he was forgotten, left to wander the abandoned hangars where rust-covered machines slept. One evening, when the alarms of invasion echoed across the base, Marcus walked down the long halls, dust rising with every step. He stopped before a door locked for decades. Inside rested a shape covered with a heavy tarp. He pulled the cover aside, and there it was, his old fighter jet, the Valkyrie, a relic of the first space wars. The Valkyrie was not beautiful compared to the sleek new starfighters. Its paint was scratched, its wings dented, its engine old and loud. Yet when Marcus placed his hand on the cold metal, he felt life pulse beneath it. He remembered every mission, every battle, every scar. This machine had once been his sword and shield, and maybe, just maybe, it could be again. The commanders mocked him when they saw him inspecting the old craft. They laughed in disbelief. That jet belongs in a museum, not a battlefield. One admiral scoffed, another said, "Do you think an antique can stop an armada of thousands?" But Marcus did not answer. He only smiled faintly and whispered to himself, "Sometimes the oldest blade cuts the deepest." That night, the alien armada entered the solar system, their ships casting shadows over Neptune and Mars. Colonies fell silent as entire defense stations were shattered. Billions watched from across the network, fear spreading faster than light. In the main hangar, pilots scrambled into their advanced fighters, engines roaring. Marcus walked toward the Valkyrie, his boots echoing on the steel floor. Technicians stared at him with wide eyes. One young mechanic ran to him and shouted, "Sir, this jet can't survive. Its systems are outdated." Marcus placed a hand on the boy's shoulder and replied, "It doesn't need to survive. It just needs to fight." He climbed into the cockpit. The seat felt familiar, like an old friend waiting. The controls were simple, no glowing holograms, no smart AI, only buttons and levers, only steel and instinct. He turned the key, and the Valkyrie roared to life, shaking the ground. Its engine screamed like a dragon waking from deep sleep. Other pilots laughed through the comms. "Is that a museum piece taking off?" One voice joked, another said, "He won't last a minute." But Marcus ignored them, his eyes focused on the stars ahead. The hangar doors opened, revealing the void. Marcus pushed the throttle, and the Valkyrie shot forward, the old machine climbing into the darkness. The stars stretched across his view, and in the distance he saw them, the alien fleet, endless and merciless. As the Valkyrie flew, Marcus remembered the past, the first time he trained, the first time he faced an enemy, the first time he lost a friend in fire and smoke. Each memory sharpened his will. Each scar gave him strength. In the command room, admirals watched his small blip on the screen. One of them shook his head. "He's going to die out there." But another whispered, "If he buys us even one more minute, it will matter." The alien ships approached closer, their formation tight, their weapons glowing with power. But Marcus was calm, his breathing steady, his hands firm. He was not flying for glory. He was not flying for medals. He was flying because humanity needed hope, even if hope came from an old jet and one forgotten pilot. As he closed in, the alien scanners tried to lock onto him. But their systems flickered, confused. Their technology was too advanced, built to detect modern signals. They could not fully register the Valkyrie. It was too old, too primitive, like a ghost slipping between worlds. Marcus noticed the hesitation. A thin smile touched his lips. He whispered, "You can't fight what you can't understand." His finger hovered over the trigger, but he did not fire yet. He wanted them to see him. He wanted the galaxy to see that humanity was not broken. Back on Earth, civilians watched the broadcast. millions of eyes fixed on their screens. A single jet against the endless void. People held their breath, children whispered prayers, parents clenched their fists. And somewhere, a little girl pointed at the sky and said, "He's not afraid." The alien flagship adjusted course, its massive cannons glowing with deadly light. Every human officer shouted through comms, "Pull back. You'll be destroyed." But Marcus ignored them, his voice calm as he said, "Not today." The Valkyrie roared forward, a single star burning against the darkness. And in that moment, the first spark of hope was born. The battle was just beginning, but already, the galaxy would remember. One human pilot, one vintage jet, facing an entire armada. The stars stretched before him like a sea of cold fire. The Valkyrie trembled as its engines pushed harder than they had in years. Every bolt and wire felt alive, as if the machine itself remembered what it was built for. Marcus Hale sat steady in the cockpit, his eyes locked on the enemy fleet shining like a wall of steel and fire in the distance. The alien armada moved with precision, ships aligned in perfect patterns, glowing cannons ready to destroy anything in their path. They looked unstoppable, their power unmatched, but Marcus whispered to himself, "A perfect wall can still crack." The comms buzzed with voices of human pilots and their advanced starfighters. They rushed ahead, their sleek ships leaving blue trails across the void. But even as they flew, fear crept into their voices. "There are too many," one muttered. "Their firepower is overwhelming." Another said. Marcus listened but did not answer. He guided the Valkyrie into the shadows of space, weaving around asteroids and drifting wreckage from fallen colonies. His old jet lacked speed, lacked armor, but it carried something the others did not. A weapons system from another age, primitive but powerful. The missiles were bulky, crude compared to modern tech. But the alien shields were designed to stop energy beams, plasma cannons, and advanced warheads. They were never tested against the old iron and chemical fire of the Valkyrie's arsenal. In their arrogance, the aliens had prepared for everything except the past. Marcus adjusted the controls. The jet hummed. Warning lights flickered red across the panel. He ignored them, his instincts stronger than any machine's guidance, his breathing calm. He felt the rhythm of the ship, every vibration a language he had known for years. Then the first wave of alien fighters broke formation. Sleek ships shaped like blades, they shot forward, moving faster than thought. The human fleet panicked. Command shouted, "Pull back, regroup." But the alien ships tore into them, lasers flashing, explosions blooming across the void. Marcus tightened his grip on the throttle. The Valkyrie dived low, slipping beneath the chaos. He moved like a predator unseen, watching the battlefield unfold. His old jet blended with the wreckage, ignored by scanners too advanced to read such a relic. One alien fighter broke off, circling behind him. Marcus heard the alarm scream in his cockpit, the targeting lock flashing, his ship too slow to escape. But instead of fleeing, Marcus twisted the jet in a sudden roll. The alien overshot, confused by the unpredictable move. In that instant, Marcus fired one missile. It roared out like thunder, slamming into the alien craft. The explosion painted the stars with fire. The comms fell silent for a heartbeat. Then voices shouted in disbelief. Did he just destroy one? Ow! That thing isn't supposed to work. But Marcus remained silent, his eyes locked on the larger ships ahead. As he broke through the fighter screen, the alien cruisers loomed, massive as cities, their cannons glowing with light. Marcus's radar lit up with signals, hundreds of locks aimed at him. He was a single spark against the storm, but he pressed on. The alien commanders noticed him now. Their deep voices filled the enemy channels, though humans could not understand the language. They felt the sudden shift in the battle. One old machine had earned their attention. Marcus knew his chance was small, but small was enough. He angled the Valkyrie toward a dreadnought, its shield shimmering like a blue sun. His finger hovered over the trigger. He breathed once, twice, then whispered, "For Earth," and fired. The missile cut across the void, crude, slow, almost laughable compared to modern weapons. Yet when it struck, the shield flickered, then shattered. The explosion ripped through the dreadnought's hull, flames erupted, and the giant ship broke apart in silence. Every human pilot froze in awe. Every commander in the control room stared at the screens. No one believed it. One ancient jet, one forgotten missile, had done what no modern weapon could. It had pierced the unbreakable. The alien armada shuddered in formation. A pause rippled through their perfect wall. Doubt crept into their precision, and for the first time, they looked uncertain. Marcus allowed himself a small smile, but it faded quickly as the alien fleet responded. Hundreds of ships turned their guns toward him. The void lit up with fire, beams of energy slicing through space, all aimed at the lone Valkyrie. The cockpit shook violently. Alarm screamed, but Marcus held steady, weaving through death, his jet a ghost among giants. The comms filled with desperate voices. "Pull back, you'll be torn apart." But Marcus whispered only to himself, "Not yet." Back on Earth, civilians watching the broadcast gasped. Children cried out in wonder. Families clutched each other. In that moment, the story of one pilot, one jet, began to spread across every colony, a legend being born in real time. Marcus pushed the Valkyrie deeper into the storm, closer to the heart of the fleet. Every second he survived, hope grew stronger. Every shot he dodged, courage spread wider. And as the alien commanders ordered all ships to fire on him, Marcus whispered with steady calm, "If you want me, you'll have to follow me into the darkness." The Valkyrie roared ahead, a single flame diving into the endless enemy, the first chapter of resistance turning into something far greater. One man, one machine, against the storm of an empire. The void was burning. Trails of light crisscrossed the darkness as the alien fleet unleashed its fury. The Valkyrie moved like a lone ember drifting through a storm. Every shot meant to end it. Yet Marcus Hale kept flying, his hands steady, his eyes calm, his heart unshaken. The dreadnought's wreckage still glowed behind him, pieces of the massive ship drifting into the abyss. The impossible had happened. A relic had destroyed a fortress, but there was no time to celebrate. The enemy now hunted him with every weapon they had. In the control rooms of Earth, silence held the commanders, their eyes fixed on the glowing screens. One whispered, "He did it." Another muttered, "That should not be possible." Yet none of them dared to believe it fully. Not yet. The alien fleet shifted formation, dreadnoughts pulling back while smaller cruisers surged forward. Their orders clear: trap the human ghost and erase him from the stars. They fired in patterns designed to corner him. Walls of light closing in. Marcus felt the trap forming. His jet shook violently as shockwaves from near misses slammed against it. Panels sparked. Warnings flashed red. But the Valkyrie did not stop. Its engine roared louder, as if the ship itself refused to die. He twisted the controls, flying not like a machine, but like a man dancing with instinct. He rolled under blast, skimmed the edges of explosions, and when the path closed, he drove straight through fire, trusting speed and fate more than logic. The alien fighters swarmed, sleek and fast, their wings cutting the void. They circled like predators ready to tear apart prey. But Marcus had something they did not: unpredictability. His jet had no advanced AI, no perfect algorithms, only his mind and his will. One fighter locked on, its cannons blazing. Marcus yanked the stick left, then down. The Valkyrie groaned but obeyed. The alien overshot. Too precise, too perfect. Marcus fired a missile from below. Crude and heavy, it struck true. The alien exploded, flames scattering across the void. The human comms erupted with cheers. He got another. How is he doing this? That jet shouldn't even be flying. Their disbelief turned slowly into hope. But Marcus was not aiming to simply survive. He had seen something, a weakness in the fleet. The dreadnought he destroyed had been guarding a massive carrier, a ship designed to release waves of fighters. Without its shield, the carrier was vulnerable. If he destroyed it, the alien swarm would thin. He angled the Valkyrie toward the carrier, weaving through fire, every move more desperate, more daring. His radar screamed with targets. His hull rattled under glancing hits. But he pressed on, whispering, "Hold together, old friend," as if speaking to the Valkyrie itself. The carrier loomed before him, colossal, its hangars glowing with the light of hundreds of fighters preparing to launch. The alien commanders underestimated him once. They would not again. The ship bristled with guns turning toward his tiny jet. Marcus took a deep breath, sweat running down his face. Every instinct screamed to turn back, but he steadied his hand, whispering, "One chance." He armed 2 missiles. The Valkyrie trembled under the strain. He locked onto the weak point where the hangar bays opened. He fired. The missiles streaked out, slow by modern standards, glowing like falling stars. The alien guns opened fire, blasting one missile apart, but the second slipped through, vanishing into the hangar. A heartbeat later, the carrier erupted in fire, the explosion tearing it apart from within. The stars lit with the impossible kill. The carrier broke in two, its fighters destroyed before they could launch, debris scattering like rain across space. The shockwave rattled even the distant cruisers. For a moment, the entire battle paused, humans and aliens alike staring at the destruction. Then voices filled the comms, humans shouting with joy. "He did it again. The fleet is breaking. We can't fight." But Marcus did not celebrate. He looked at the chaos he created, alien ships drifting in panic, their perfect formation shattered. Yet he knew what was coming. He had drawn the full wrath of the Armada. The alien flagship turned, its massive guns glowing brighter. Energy charging for a shot meant not just for him, but for everything around him. One strike could wipe out dozens of human ships. Marcus tightened his grip on the controls, whispering, "Then let it come." Back on Earth, children clung to their screens. People in colonies cried and cheered. They were no longer watching a forgotten pilot. They were watching a legend being born. The alien commanders roared their orders. The sky filled with fire once again. Beams lanced toward the Valkyrie, and Marcus, with calm defiance, drove his ancient jet straight toward the flagship, a lone man against the heart of an empire. The impossible kill had been made, but now the real storm was coming, and Marcus Hale was ready to meet it. One human, one machine, daring to face the impossible. The carrier's burning wreckage still drifted behind him, glowing like a dying star. But Marcus Hale had no time to look back. The alien armada had shifted, no longer confident, no longer perfect. They were angry now, desperate to erase the single human who had humiliated them. From the command halls of Earth, voices shouted. He broke their line. "The fleet is stalling." But even as they celebrated, new signals appeared on the radar. Dozens of alien interceptors breaking formation, all heading for one target, the Valkyrie. Marcus gripped the throttle, the old jet rattling under his hands, the cockpit shuddering with every vibration. The alien interceptors moved like shadows, faster than anything the Valkyrie could match, their wings slicing the void, their weapons glowing like fireflies of death. He breathed steady, calm, his mind clear. The Valkyrie had no speed advantage, no shield advantage, but it had something else. It was unpredictable. It was primitive. It was a ghost from another age. The aliens swarmed, cannons blazing, beams of light streaking past him. Marcus pulled the jet into a spiral, the engine groaning but obeying. The interceptors overshot, their perfect algorithms failing to predict his erratic movements. He dived toward a shattered asteroid belt, giant rocks drifting through the void, some glowing with fire from earlier battles, others spinning silently in darkness. The human commanders gasped. He's flying straight into a graveyard. But Marcus whispered, "That's exactly what I need." The Valkyrie wove between the asteroids, engines roaring, dust and debris scattering. The alien ships followed, their formation breaking as they entered the maze, their speed now a weakness, their precision a curse. One interceptor clipped a rock, its wing tearing apart, the ship spinning into oblivion. Another slammed headfirst into debris, exploding in silence. Marcus flew deeper, guiding them into the storm, every twist, every sudden dive forcing them closer to destruction. The Valkyrie groaned, sparks flying from its panels. A warning light screamed red, but Marcus ignored it. The ship was bleeding, but alive. Alien interceptors pressed closer, learning, adapting, their commanders shouting orders across the fleet. Beams lanced through the dark, One shot grazed the Valkyrie's wing, ripping away metal. The jet shook violently, alarms blaring. Marcus tightened his grip. "Hold together, old friend, just a little longer." He pulled the jet through a narrow gap between two spinning asteroids, barely wider than his wings. The aliens tried to follow, but two ships collided mid-flight, exploding in a burst of fire, the shock wave scattering the rest. The comms on Earth erupted with cheers. He's leading them into traps. He's outsmarting them. But Marcus did not hear his focus absolute. His world narrowed to the stars, the rocks, and the hunters chasing him. Then came the real danger. The alien flagship moved into position, its massive cannons tracking him from afar. No longer waiting, no longer underestimating. The giant weapon glowed, charging for a shot that could erase the entire asteroid field. Marcus saw the glow behind him. His jaw tightened. "They're willing to burn their own ships to kill me," he muttered. And for the first time, a thin edge of fear touched his voice. He had seconds, maybe less. The Valkyrie's engine roared as he pushed it to its limit. Panels rattled. Bolts popped loose. The ship groaned like it might fall apart. He spotted a massive hollow rock ahead, a cave in space, wide enough for one desperate man and one desperate machine. The flagship fired. A beam of light brighter than a sun. It tore through the asteroid field, shredding stone, vaporizing alien interceptors. The explosion lit the void with fire. For a moment, it looked like everything inside was gone. In Earth's command center, silence fell. Hearts sank. One officer whispered, "He's gone." Children watching screens cried. Hope trembled like a candle about to die. But then, out of the smoke and fire, the Valkyrie burst forth. Its hull scorched, its wings cracked, but alive. Marcus had flown through the hollow of the asteroid, using the rock itself as a shield, surviving what should have been certain death. The comms exploded with shouts of joy, people cheering across colonies. Hope reignited. Marcus exhaled slowly, whispering, "Not today." The alien fleet reeled, their precision shattered, their interceptors broken, their flagships fury wasted, and yet they did not retreat. Instead, they called forth something worse. Far behind the fleet, a new shadow moved, larger than the dreadnoughts, darker than the cruisers, a ship the size of a small moon, its surface glowing with energy veins, a weapon of annihilation. Humanity had never seen anything like it. Earth commanders stared in horror. One said, "What is that?" Another whispered, "A planet killer." Marcus looked at the shadow and felt the weight of the galaxy pressing on his shoulders. His hands tightened on the controls, his voice calm but steady. "If that's what they bring, then that's where we fight." The Valkyrie turned, a lone ember against a mountain of darkness. His chase was not over. It was only beginning. One man, one jet, still alive, still defying an empire, as the true monster entered the battlefield. The planet killer drifted into view like a dark moon, its surface covered in glowing rivers of energy. Every human who saw it felt their hearts sink. It was not a ship. It was a weapon designed to erase worlds. In the command halls of Earth, silence fell. Screens glowed with its monstrous size. One officer whispered, "We cannot fight that." Another muttered, "This is the end." But then someone pointed to a small racing toward the shadow. The Valkyrie, the old fighter that refused to die. Across colonies, millions watched the broadcast, children huddled around screens. Miners in asteroid belts stopped their drills. Soldiers on outposts dropped their weapons to look up at the sky. They all saw the same thing. A lone jet, battered and burning, flying straight toward the impossible. Marcus Hale's voice came through the comms, rough but steady. "Listen to me. We are not finished, not today." His words spread across the channels, reaching pilots, soldiers, even civilians. His tone carried no rank, no authority, only the raw truth of defiance. For years, humanity had felt small, crushed between empires, treated as weak. But now, watching one man and one old machine defy an armada, they felt something stir inside, something that had been buried. Courage. In orbit around Mars, young pilots begged their commanders, "Let us fly. Let us fight with him." On Earth, Engineers and hidden hangars unlocked their own forgotten weapons, dusted off machines once thought useless, and across colonies, civilians began sending signals, chanting one name, Valkyrie. The human fleet, broken and scattered, began to gather, ships turning back toward the fight. Voices filled the comms. "We're with you. We'll cover your flank. You're not alone anymore." Marcus heard them. A small smile touched his lips, but his voice stayed calm. "Then follow me. But remember, this fight is not for me. It's for every child, every family, every world behind us." The alien commanders roared in fury, their perfect strategy undone by something they could not calculate. Hope. They released another wave of fighters, swarms like black arrows, their orders clear: crush the humans before the fire spreads. The Valkyrie led the charge, its old engine screaming. Behind it flew dozens of human fighters, some advanced, some outdated, but all burning with new resolve. Their formation was not perfect, not precise, but alive. The first clash was brutal. Lasers lit the void, ships exploded, pilots screamed through comms. But this time, the humans did not break. They fought like wolves protecting their pack. They moved with instinct, not calculation, and wherever the Valkyrie flew, they followed. On Earth, civilians cheered. On Mars, miners raised their fists. On distant colonies, children shouted his name. Marcus Hale was no longer just a pilot. He was a symbol, and his jet was no longer just steel. It was the heartbeat of humanity. Inside the Valkyrie, the cockpit shook, alarms screamed, his wing cracked, smoke hissed from a panel. But Marcus pressed on. He did not think of survival. He thought of the millions watching, the billions depending on him. He whispered, "Old friend, hold together. We are not done yet." The alien armada shifted again, frustrated, their discipline cracking, their precision breaking. Ships collided in the chaos. Commanders shouted over each other, their fear rising for the first time. The human fleet pressed harder, emboldened by Marcus's defiance. A cruiser that once retreated turned back and fired. A damaged frigate sacrificed itself to shield fighters. Every act of bravery sparked another, like flames leaping from torch to torch. Then the planet killer moved, its colossal weapon charging, glowing brighter than suns, its energy veins pulsing. One blast could erase a world. One blast could erase the Valkyrie and all who followed it. The human commanders panicked. Pull back, pull back." But Marcus's voice cut through, steady, sharp. "If we run now, we will run forever. Stand with me." He angled the Valkyrie toward the monster, his fleet behind him, humanity's hope burning brighter with every second. For the first time in history, the alien empire felt doubt. One of their officers whispered in their guttural tongue, "Why do they not break?" Another answered, "Because they're not fighting with machines, they're fighting with something else." The planet killer loomed larger, its weapon nearly ready. Marcus whispered one last time, "Then let us show them what humanity is." The Valkyrie roared, followed by a fleet that should have fled, but instead chose to fight. And across the galaxy, the legend of one pilot, one vintage jet, and a people who refused to bow began to spread like wildfire. Humanity was no longer hiding. Humanity was rallying, and the galaxy would never forget this moment. The planet killer filled the stars, its shadow swallowing everything, its glowing veins pulsing brighter, the weapon inside charging with a hum that shook even the human fleet's sensors. It was not just a ship, it was a death sentence. The Valkyrie rattled as Marcus guided it closer, his cockpit flooded with red lights. Warning alarms screamed, the hull groaned like it would tear apart, but his hand stayed steady, his voice calm. This is where it ends. On Earth, billions held their breath. In colonies across the stars, people watched in silence. No one spoke, no one moved, every eye fixed on a single jet daring to face a weapon larger than cities. The human fleet followed, ragged but determined, some ships trailing smoke, some missing wings, yet they held formation behind the Valkyrie, the old machine leading them like a torch in the dark. Inside the alien armada, commanders barked furious orders. Destroy him, destroy the relic. But even as they spoke, Doubt crept into their voices. Their perfect empire had never been challenged like this. Marcus studied the monster before him, its armor plates thicker than mountains, its shield shimmering like storms. No modern weapon had ever pierced it. But his mind worked not like a machine, but like a soldier who had learned through scars. He whispered, "If I can't kill it from outside, then I'll bleed it from the inside." He opened a private channel, his voice steady but low. "Listen to me, I'm going in," the human commander shouted back. "It's suicide. You won't make it out alive." But Marcus answered, "It doesn't matter if I make it. What matters is that all of you do." The fleet went silent, his words heavy, final. Every pilot knew what he meant. He was preparing to sacrifice himself. The Valkyrie dove lower, engines howling, weaving between enemy fire. Alien cruisers tried to block him, but human ships rushed forward, ramming, firing, sacrificing themselves to clear the path. One frigate was torn apart, shielding his flank. Another cruiser exploded, taking 3 alien fighters with it. Every sacrifice made the corridor wider. The planet killer's weapon neared full charge, its glow brighter, its hum deeper. Marcus whispered to his old machine, "Just a little longer, old friend. Hold with me." He guided the Valkyrie straight toward a vent in the superstructure, a narrow opening glowing with heat, large enough for a single fighter. The human fleet realized what he was doing. Voices cried through comms, "He's going inside. He's insane. He's the only one who can." The Valkyrie slammed through the vent, sparks spraying, the hull scraping metal. Alarms shrieked as the ship forced its way in. Darkness swallowed him. Inside was a labyrinth of tunnels and glowing pipes, the beating heart of the weapon. Alien drones swarmed inside, small machines buzzing like hornets, firing streams of plasma. Marcus weaved through, the Valkyrie taking hits, metal tearing, smoke filling the cockpit. He coughed but pressed on, his eyes locked ahead. He saw the core chamber, a massive sphere pulsing with light. The heart of the planet killer. It glowed like a star trapped inside steel. One strike there could cripple the monster, but his missiles were nearly gone, and his ship was falling apart. Marcus whispered into the comms. "This is it. This is the only way." The fleet shouted, "No. There must be another chance." But he answered with calm. "Hope was given to me. Now I return it." He armed his last missile, guiding the Valkyrie straight toward the core. Drones fired, explosions rocked the jet, but he kept going, his voice soft, almost tender. "You and I, old friend, we've flown farther than anyone believed. Now let's finish it." The Valkyrie screamed forward, metal tearing, fire spilling through the cockpit. Marcus's hands steady until the end, his eyes clear. He fired the missile. It streaked into the glowing core, vanishing in white light. For a breath, silence held. Then the entire planet killer shuddered, light bursting from cracks, energy ripping through its veins. The monster trembled as fire bloomed inside. The Valkyrie shook, systems failing, alarms dying into silence. Marcus closed his eyes, whispering one final word, "Done." The explosion tore through the beast. A chain reaction of fire and energy. The planet killer convulsed, then split apart in a burst brighter than suns, its pieces scattering into the void. From Earth to Mars to the farthest colonies, humanity watched in awe. They had seen one man and one old machine bring down the greatest weapon of an empire. The fleet roared with victory, but in the silence of the burning wreckage, one truth remained. Marcus Hale's signal was gone. The Valkyrie's light had vanished with the monster. Yet in that sacrifice, humanity found something greater than survival. They found unity, courage, and the fire to keep fighting. One man, one jet, had fallen, but because of him, humanity still stood, and the galaxy trembled at the sound of their defiance. The wreckage of the planet killer burned across the stars, pieces of a shattered monster drifting like dying suns. The light of its destruction spread through the void, touching every ship, every world watching. For a long moment, silence ruled. Even the alien armada froze, their perfect discipline broken, their commanders stunned, their empire's greatest weapon destroyed by one man in one forgotten jet. On Earth, the silence shattered into thunder. Cheers erupted across cities. Families cried together. Strangers embraced in the streets. In colonies, miners dropped their tools. Soldiers raised their fists. Children shouted a single name. Marcus. The human fleet, ragged and bloodied, no longer felt fear. They had seen what was possible. One man had shown them that even the strongest empire could bleed. And now they pressed forward, their voices filling the calms. For Marcus. For Earth. For humanity. The alien commanders roared orders, desperate to regain control. But their ships faltered, their fighters hesitated, their fear spreading faster than commands. Human ships struck like wolves, swarming the scattered cruisers. Missiles and lasers tore through their weakened shields. Alien formations broke apart. And for the first time, the Armada was not a wall of steel, but a swarm of fleeing ships. Marcus Hale's signal was gone, his cockpit dark, the Valkyrie silent, but his presence filled every fighter, every soldier, every civilian. His voice echoed in their hearts, reminding them not to run, not to kneel. On Mars, engineers broadcast his final words across the network. Hope was given to me. Now I return it. Those words spread through the colonies, carried like fire, repeated by millions. Even as the battle raged, the legend grew. Marcus was no longer just a pilot. He was a story, and stories cannot be killed. The alien flagship tried to rally, its cannons glowing, but human ships focused on it. Fighters swarming, frigates ramming, cruisers tearing into its shields. It trembled under the storm, then exploded in silence, its fire painting the void. The rest of the Armada broke, commanders fleeing, warships turning away, the empire that once seemed eternal now retreating before a species they had called weak. Humanity stood together, battered but alive, the fleet victorious, but their victory was not just in ships destroyed, it was in the spirit reborn. In the aftermath, wreckage drifted across the void. The human fleet gathered, searching, hoping for a signal from the Valkyrie, but none came. Some whispered he might have escaped, others believed he was gone, but all agreed on one truth. His sacrifice had saved them all. On Earth, the Council declared a new day of remembrance, not of mourning, but of defiance. They called it Valkyrie Day. Children in schools would learn the story. Pilots would train with his name etched on their helmets, and every colony would carry the banner of the old fighter jet. The Valkyrie itself was gone, consumed in the explosion, yet artists across the colonies painted it on walls. Engineers built statues, and singers wrote songs. One machine had become a symbol. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. Alien traders spoke of the battle. Other species under the Empire's shadow listened. They whispered, "If humanity can fight, so can we." Rebellion sparked in hidden corners, sparks of defiance born from one man's courage. The alien empire trembled, not because of weapons, but because of belief. They had ruled through fear, but Marcus Hale had shown fear could break. And so the galaxy remembered, the name carried across stars, the story retold in every language. One human pilot, one vintage jet, enough to bring an empire to its knees. In the end, Marcus Hale was not seen again, but in truth he never died, because legends do not die. Legends live wherever hope is needed, and whenever darkness rises, the people will remember the sound of an old engine roaring against the stars. And they will whisper, "Valkyrie still flies."